Hey, what's up guys? I want to do another knife review for you today. Today we're looking at a Brous Blades Mini Division. It's a very, very cool knife. You see I have a second pouch over there. That's because that is the Blackout version. This is the Stonewash finish. There's a couple different finishes you can choose from. And at the end of the video I'm going to show you the Blackout and kind of just compare both. It's really, really cool. I much prefer the two-tone here plus just the Stonewash blade. It's just nice for scratching and stuff like that. If you're buying this as a collector's piece and not a user, you may want to go with the Blackout. It's really, really cool. It's just obviously it's going to show a lot more wear and tear if you use your knife. But anyway, first off, you get these knives. You're going to get a pouch, which is cool. See there, Brous Blades. All right, in the pouch you're going to have your little birth certificate slash authenticity card. See, this is lined with a faux fur. Very cool, light blue color. So let's see, this one shows a born date of 2/1/14. See, there's a signature, of course, a little bit about the blade. This particular one is limited to 1,000 pieces. In the back here you have all the information you need to know, plus a serial number, so it matches your knife. This is particularly nice if you're into the collecting side of things. If you're gonna buy this to use this, none of this matters. The pouch may be good so you can throw it in a box or somewhere and not scratch it up, but if you're a user, you're really not worried about any of that kind of stuff. This is purely for collectors, but collectors do like this additions to custom knives and semi-customs and things like that. So you see this one, the card says 627 of 1,000, Black G10, D2, Rockwell 59 is 60. Okay, some contact information for Jason in case you have any kind of problems or need to know something. So that's what comes with the knife. So let's take a look at this knife. This is a very, very cool knife. Carried and used this for a while now since I got it. On and off, this is one of those things where I carried it, for the review, for use, but fell in love with it. And even though I was switching through knives and trying to test other knives, I kept grabbing this one, and I gravitated towards it for in between when I was reviewing things. So even though I technically was supposed to stop carrying it so I can carry other ones, I still did carry it a couple days here and there, and I use it around the house a lot too. Really nice design. It's just very cool looking. One thing I would talk about a lot is this flipper. I like Jason's flippers a lot. Aesthetically, it looks very cool. It's very, very easy to push in and get that blade out. Flies out. He has his own bearing system in here. If you go onto the forums, you can see a picture of these taken apart and exactly how that works. Basically, it's like a little cup with the ball bearings in there, and then you have a cutout in the tang of the blade. It's very interesting, but it makes for a very smooth knife. It's just super easy to get this out with the flipper. It's fairly large here, so you can't miss it. It's good and bad. Some people don't like this. Most of the times, I don't like a long flipper, or extended tang for a flipper. For the simple purpose is that, first of all, a lot of people love, tip-up knives, which of course this is a tip-up blade, right-hand carry, but it is swappable, and I'll talk about that in a minute. People love these because, I can, put them in my pocket and it's safe and everything. What people, or not everyone of course, but a lot of people fail to mention or talk about is that, tip-up with a flipper usually sucks. The reason why is because when, I don't know if you guys use your knives, but I do, and when I carry them and I go into my pocket for something else, I always rub my pinky or side of my hand on that flipper inside the pocket. All right, so although I do love tip up, I do love flippers. Generally speaking, that's the problem I always have with them. So although I did rub my hand a few times on this and using it and carrying it, what I like about this one is Jason really rounded this up. It's very nicely finished. The corners are all softened. There's no sharp areas on here, and you can rub it a little bit on your hand and it's not going to hurt. Some of them out there are very sharp. They have jimping on it. They grab the skin. It's very irritating. Okay, people forget, again, reaching into that pocket. Some people who carry a knife in their pocket don't utilize that front right pocket on their pants for anything else. I do. I carry so much crap, I need that pocket space. So it's not just for my knife. My knife is a secondary thing. I still have a main pocket which I use. So that's always a consideration for myself. Tip up, right hand carry on a knife. If it has a flipper, how's it gonna rub on my hand? It's uncomfortable. So something to think about. But super easy to get this out. It just glides out. There's not much effort at all. What's nice about Jason's stuff is most of his flippers, you don't necessarily need much of a down action. I mean, if you push down, it doesn't actually fly out as easily. All right, these are more or less kind of pushing down on a 45, so you're almost pushing in this way as well as down. All right, so if I pull down like this, that's what gives me that, you know, maximum torque. And of course, you do it in one swift motion there. All right, but with these, you can, if you want to fly out even faster, you literally just kind of push it straight into the frame here, and it shoots right out. It's just really easy to use this. Depending on where the tang ends up on here, how big it is, different flippers work differently. I mean, they all function the same way in, you know, how it works, but I think you guys know, if you're familiar or have used multiple different knives with flippers on them, some are easier than others, and this one is extremely easy. In addition to that bearing system in here, it's just a pleasure to flip out. What I really like about this, and I think every single knife that has you know, a flipper on there, or flipping capability to get that blade out, should have some kind of backup mechanism, whether it be a thumb stud, even if it's like, you know, a thumb stud that really acts as a blade stop, and we've seen that before, or some kind of a cutout. So Jason, of course, did put a cutout in this one. It's tucked away. It's not quite as easy to get to, and I find that I have to come in at a 45, all right, to get that out easily. If I'm holding a knife like this and I want to just grab it like this, it's much harder to do it this way and kind of get meat at my finger in there. It's a little uncomfortable. So I know that if I'm going to be opening this up with this, okay, as opposed to the flipper, I come in at a 45 into the handle. It gets that meat of my thumb right where it needs to be, and comfortably opens this, you know, with the thumb as opposed to the flipper. Okay, so you can open with the flipper, or you can come in here and open it nice and easy with the thumb. What I really like about this cutout is, again, how he finished this. Okay, this is, you know, above production level quality, and that's what you're getting in these knives. And a lot of different knives, you know, in this arena, and of course in the price range. As far as price, this is $300 pretty much everywhere. You can go direct to Jason. You can get it from you know, Blade HQ. There's a bunch of sites. They're all $2.99. That's what you see everywhere. All right, but if you look in here, this cutout here, not only does it lighten the knife up a little bit, it doesn't really take away from the integrity of the blade too much, but it's all rounded, and you know, it's just super comfortable. No matter how you're going to get your finger in here, it's not going to hurt. All right, but it's not going to slip either. It's wide enough, and it's enough of a cutout there where you can't miss it. All right, so really cool, super easy to use. In other words, all right, easy to grab that flipper, shoots right out, or of course you can open it nice and slow. And of course, it's also ambidextrous. So if you do swap it to left side, or if you are a left-handed person and you get frustrated with all the knives out there that are specifically made for us righties, the flipper is obviously universal, or excuse me, ambidextrous. Okay, so right hand or left hand carry and usability, and same with the cutout. Obviously, it's through and through. So very cool with that. Handle here is a G10. It's sculpted. It's very smooth. There's no texture on this at all. All right, but it's sculpted nice. You can see there's the slight ramp there, which will again help you get your thumb into that position there to open it. Aesthetically, it's very pleasing. It looks very nice, you know, simple, sexy lines on this. You can see the groove that follows the spine a little bit. All right, nice polished hardware here, which is very nice. This is a liner lock, and you'll notice if I look on the inside here, it's heavily skeletonized. All right, so even though the liners are just as thick as our scales, which is kind of interesting. Usually, you know, liner locks, you got a thin steel liner and a thick G10 scale, or micarta, or carbon fiber, whatever it happens to be. But this is like almost a 1-to-1 ratio here, which is nice because it gives a lot of stability, but it is lightened up quite a bit. So really cool. 5.5 ounces on this knife, by the way. All right, if you're wondering what the weight is. But you can see there are a lot of cutouts and holes in there, so it's heavily skeletonized. As far as our blade, we have a very simple design here. D2 tool steel, extremely sharp. Jason's D2, from my experience, has been very well or properly heat treated. It's done right, and it does perform, you know, as well as D2 should perform. 3.5 inches on this blade. The knife close is 5 inches, and the overall length is 8.3 inches. All right, thicker blade, 3/16 of an inch. All right, and what I really like about this, obviously, and I like this about any person that does this, but Jason does his markings on the spine of the blade. Now this one is serialized because it's limited to 1,000. This one's 627, which matches our card. I like this. It's just a super clean look, okay? So when you're holding a knife and using it, there's nothing, there's no markings or you know, doesn't say what the blade steel is or serial numbers. There's nothing on the blade. It's very organic looking. But there, I don't know why. I really can't pinpoint it. There's just something cool about the spine of a blade being etched. I used to have a Spyderco Endura from Lone Wolf, the you know, people who make you know, the gun barrels and stuff for Glocks, like aftermarket parts. And unfortunately, I had to sell that knife, even though it had my name on it and everything. But I love that because it was on there. It was just a really cool, classy touch. Doesn't do anything for the knife or performance, but it's just cool. You can see the centering on here is pretty spot on. Very nice, very clean look. Because of that thicker blade, we have to have a wider opening here. And you know, it's the only thing that, it's not something I don't like. It's just something that I don't know, when I first grabbed the knife, it felt big. The handle felt big. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something that has to be worth, or it is something worth mentioning. It just feels thicker, and it's just because you have to accommodate that thicker blade in there, so everything literally is a little bit wider. It's not a slim line knife by any means. And that's a preference thing. All right, some people like it, some people don't. But it feels very good in the hands, very ergonomic. You see, there's no real curvature here. So much in the handle. It's a little bit more like robotic, if I can say that. It's just, you know, more abrupt lines. They're softened, of course. It's not sharp or anything like that. But instead of having like an organic curve, you know, for your finger grooves and stuff and your choil, see, it's basically has a 2-finger choil here, right? So your hand comfortably rests like that. Of course, there's some jimping down here, which you do feel. It gives you a little bit of grip. This is functional jimping, whereas this is not. This is just pretty much aesthetic. It's not doing anything for you, really, as far as grip. But you come down here, your other 2 fingers land there, and it's comfortable. It's a very comfortable knife. Of course, same thing in the reverse grip. Right now, it's just your bottom 2 fingers which land in there. It's very nice. It's not the most comfortable knife in the world, but it's certainly comfy, put it that way. So ergos are definitely up there. If I had to, I don't know, rate it on a, if taking a test for ergonomics, I'd say A- maybe. Really, really cool though. One thing I do notice is if I really grip down on this and I'm using this really hard, I do feel that pocket clip just a little bit, okay? Just because it, you know, flares up there. You see, obviously it's going to dig into the hand, but it's not that extreme of an angle, so when you really grip down, you feel it, but barely. Really not an issue, but of course, you know, for review purposes, definitely worth mentioning. One thing I love about this knife, and I think every single knife should have this, ever, is the blade is fully sharpened. And what I mean by fully sharpened is there is a substantial blade choil here, and where the edge ends, it is razor sharp. It's razor sharp all the way to the edge. I love that, okay? It's a simple little detail. Not everyone does that, okay? So our edge is fully usable and fully sharpened. Nice acute point on this. It is quite pointy. All right, so although D2 is a pretty tough steel, I mean, you know, don't go overboard with this. You may snap that tip just by design, even though it's a thick blade, 3/16 of an inch. It's nothing to, you know, scoff at. It's fairly thick, but it is very cute there. All right, so don't be really stabbing and putting too much pressure, you know, side to side on things. Just an amazing knife. You see, it is a free, you know, flow through design. Standoff in the middle here, and a super fat heavy duty standoff on the butt end. All right, as far as the pocket clip, very functional, perfect tension on this. You know, it's tight, not too tight. Aesthetically, it's pleasing, I like it, and it is of course a deep carry clip. All right, so it carries completely into the pocket. It is swappable to the other side. You see how this works, is that it slides into, you know, in between the frame and the scale. What's nice is that on the opposite side, there's a little insert there. Okay, so he does this with his other knife too. I mentioned this on the Bionic. There's a little insert so that when you're not using that particular spot, of course you swap it the other side. You have a little piece here, but this, it's not just to be there. You know, it's not there just to be there to fill a void. Not only is it filling that void, but it's also acting as your lanyard hole. Albeit, you know, if you like your 550 stuff, you're not going to get it through here very easily. You could. I tried. I failed. I didn't make, that much of an effort, but I did try to shove some 550 through there, and I was unsuccessful. And yes, I did the whole, take an inside piece trick, and no, it's a very, very tight slit in there. But you know what? It's still there. So you still have, an option to do something there. If you really wanted to, you could put a tiny little split ring on this, and then, of course, run your lanyard off of that. And that might be an easy way to go for a lot of different knives, believe it or not. But love the clip, no problem there. I was worried. This is a thin little piece of metal. How is that going to affect my hand and the grip? And it didn't. The knife handle's long enough where it extended past the hand. It was never a problem. Any way I gripped this, it wasn't an issue. Even in the reverse grip, never was a problem. I mean, I wouldn't rarely put my finger like this. If I did, of course, then it's a little uncomfortable. But if I'm stabbing, I'm probably not putting my thumb up here. It's much more comfortable, and you get less impact when you're holding it like this. All right. And of course, speaking of stabbing or any kind of thrusting, that all flipper knives inherently, of course, have an extended tang here, which acts as a guard. Okay, that's why a lot of people like the flipper knives. So, really, really cool. Just one of my favorites. It's definitely worth taking a look at. $300 is very expensive for a lot of people, but in the realm of what this knife is, what it has to offer, it's on the low side, and I think that's why it's a very popular knife. The biggest negative to this knife, and there's not much bad to say about it, but this particular one, and it's one of those things where every knife's a little bit different, but I have a little bit of a sticky lockup. Okay, no matter what I do, and I've opened and closed this thousands of times, not hundreds, thousands. I play with this all the time. It's at my desk, and using it, opening and closing it. Doesn't matter how soft of an opening or how hard, it just has a sticky lock. That's it. You hear it pop. Pop. And yes, I know the remedy is to fix that, and maybe a future video, but I have to mention it for review purposes. There's no real break-in. But that being said, let's take a look at the Blackout version of this. This one does not have the same issue. So here's the Blackout. Now the biggest difference is it's completely black. It's literally the same knife, but if you're into the whole stealthy black stuff, this is where it's at. Everything is black. The hardware is black. Obviously the blade's black. Black G10, our liner's completely black. Our standoffs are black. It's blacked out. The only thing that's not black, of course, is our sharpened edge. But other than the coloring, it is literally identical knife. It's just a different finish. By the way, here's a close-up of the Stonewash. It's a very fine Stonewash. I like it a lot. He also offers an acid Stonewash, which kind of looks like a black wash. It's very popular in the industry right now. It's very cool. His finish looks a little bit different than some of the other ones, though. But again, to compare, here's the Blackout version. Super cool. Really like this one a lot. Again, for collectors, or from a collector standpoint, this is probably the one I'd go with. Absolutely. But to here, same smooth opening, everything else is fine, but there's barely any stickiness to this. All right, this one was not open nearly as much as that one. Just a tiny, not even really a pop, just the tiniest bit of resistance there, whereas this one, used thousands of times, still has that pop. There we go. So anyway, that's it. That is my review on the Jason Brous Mini Division. It is a very, very cool knife. I think if you're trying to dive into the world of semi-customs and custom knives and stuff, this is a great place to start. $300 is definitely on the low end of this particular style of knife. And what I mean by style is just the quality. Okay, when you're talking about something with the fit and finish and and all these extra steps that go into making knives, you're looking at a lot of money. And that's why, for the most part, I really do stick with production knives, and you see me review a lot of production knives. And it's for that reason, is that it appeals to more people. If you're really, really in the knife industry and the knife community, and you're a hardcore knife person, of course you're going to get into some customs at some point or another. But for the average consumer, people just don't have it. And if they have it, they just don't want to dedicate it for, a knife or, a tool for them. It's not art. All right, when you're paying $300 for a knife, it's not necessarily just a tool to you. It is art, and you can appreciate all the little nuances and the little details that go into something like that. All right, it's a little different than going to Walmart and getting a $15 Kershaw or something like that, and just rocking it, you know, in all kinds of nasty conditions, and scraping it up and snapping the tip off. It's different. It's a different knife for a different use. But I can tell you can use these very hard. Just because they're expensive and just because they're a cool showpiece and a piece of artwork, it doesn't mean you can't use them like the tools that they are, because they definitely surpass any kind of expectations as far as using the knife. So that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Take care.